That's right before filling out the table. I'll talk to you about the land rights situation. Rent and land rent. If you feel there's no problem, the land will be yours. Doji 2 eyes lit up. Yes, Miss Animal. Start the presentation. Rights related to land. In the Han Dynasty, all land is owned by the collective. Farmers will have the right to use it. Simply put, you'll have ownership. Use and benefit from that land. The right to own and use the land rent benefit. 20% of the money you earn, but you won't give it away. We'll charge you 20% of the land rent. The amount of money that people earn. The rest is everyone's. That's it. The nurse handed him the paper and said, the specific terms are here. You can take a closer look. My face is a little suspicious. Ask the staff again. Make sure you only pay 20%. There are no more taxes. Previously, the olive water also said to collect 20%, but then add up the taxes. That's half the revenue. The animal worker said with a smile. Of course. He loves his people as one in the house. You're not allowed to collect any miscellaneous taxes. This standard is also written in the law. The doji roared with joy. That's great. I'll fill out the table now. I'm so excited. The Agriculture Ministry official happily replied, of course. Something. I heard your farming techniques are very good. 2 days ago, Your Majesty has just introduced a new policy. This policy requires very high requirements for agricultural engineering, and the benefits are also very generous. Are you interested? Doji rolled his eyes curiously, asking about the new policy. What is the policy? Miss Staff, smiling, popularized new policy. It's the farming economy. It's simply the farming economy. It's about growing trees that are worth the money, or difficult to grow, and what we need to expand that is Hoa tea. His beard looks embarrassed, honestly told. I've never planted flowers before, but I used to grow beans. It can be sold at a high price. They're very soft. Must be grown in a warm environment. Then it can develop. So I had to make them in front of the veil. They make their own fertilizer. At the same time, Siley and another employee looked into the room. The doji is being welcomed. Siley holding a paper in her hand. He looked at the doji and asked. The employee is standing next to me. She's the one that people choose. For the economic development, the blonde woman asked the farmer. What's wrong with the doji? Put your finger in your mouth, and then spray a signal for the blonde employee. Silence, the La said. Don't say anything. Brunette blonde becomes nervous, aesthetic, in lap. The minister looks at it in such seriousness. Maybe our inspection is wrong. Doji has a real problem. The doji is still practicing. Tell me about the methods I used to do. It's also very simple to make fertilizer. I'm going to bury the dung later. The blonde employee, who's suffering from Europe, pretends to be quiet. You start thinking about future disasters. The Department of Agriculture is compromised. National food prices have fallen. People in the city eat everything. The blonde employee's expression became worse. She's a beauty parlor. This doji is a spy. Agriculture is the main sector of the country. If the Ministry of Agriculture is infiltrated, the nation suffers. People are poor because of their mistakes. We will be big. So she immediately told Lord Siley. I'll fire her out immediately. Then we'll take a break. Siley smiled and patted the clerk on the shoulder and reassured her. What are you chasing me for? What were you thinking? She's never been trained. But to understand that kind of farming knowledge, that's a good factor. Our Department of Agriculture, there is a lack of people like this. Watch her more later. If she shows up well, I'll train her as a technologist. The blonde clerk smiled and breathed a sigh of relief. The news almost dropped out. So the school has been watching her. Make me whole. In the lobby of the top floor, female employee in the Ministry of Agriculture asked the doji to probe a few words. Before you leave. Agroeconomics segment. I'll have to investigate your organization further. If it passes, I'll let you know later. Doji Fun answering. Yes, thank you. You think in your heart. It would be nice if I could work here. I am so angry that I don't know the words. When it comes to filling out the table, she fills it out for herself. At the same time, Saved and Mina also solved the story at the Ministry of Agriculture. They came out of the room. His face showed clearly his fatigue. I told Mina. I can't believe the Department of Agriculture has done so much. We're not late. Mina said it takes about 10 minutes to get to the library. The car is in time for Lucy's appointment. See the wind. The capital runs right away. His face beamed hello. What a coincidence. Surprised, I asked her why she was here. Dao replied with a smile. I plan to continue being a farmer. So come to the procedure of renting land. He shook his head and smiled. That's okay. Good luck. Sorry, we have an appointment with someone else. I can't talk to you much. So I'll go first. Say goodbye to the capital. I also came here and thought in my heart. As long as July can be an official. It's also possible I'm as good as this girl and this sister. Liking real Miss Staff Board. Cho Doji panicked and ran out to ask Doji. Have you turned your majesty? Listen to this question. Doji was stunned. She gaping mouth, suddenly amazed, asked back in a loud voice. What is your majesty? I remember 2 months before I first met him. The sound of the public garage announcement. Young and old get half off. Get in the car without Chen. I'm with Nicola right now, he said. I've only been there once since I opened the bus stop. Now there's more about having. Nicola replied with a smile and made a proposal. That's right, out. There are also chairs designed for the elderly and the disabled. A young GIA. Would you like to try it? Look at the number of clothes you are wearing. Then sadly said, it's not convenient for me to dress like this. Nicola covered her mouth with a grin. The minister has prepared a normal set of clothes. Even if the weather is cool. I'll find you a jacket to wear. Then 2 outside in the car. Into the civilian atmosphere. In the adult car. Children have the old and young. So the car's pretty crowded. But people treat each other quite civilly. I saw an old woman get in the car. The young man hurriedly stood up. Give your chair to the old woman. I said sit here. The granny with the cane smiled and said thank you. 2 animals talking to each other. The smiling mother said, I told you, it's not time to pay for the bus fare. The naive girl asked, how did Jigu grow up? Nicola was happy to tell the wind. All modes of transport company. The public will proceed at your request. Everything is fine. Everyone is very civilized and polite. The air in the bus was very calm. I'm just giving you direction. It's mostly very conscious practitioners. This scene is very moving to me. Julie helped open the pizza box. Then she turned around, looking at my sister with a lustful face. Poor said, Sister, I can't stand it anymore. Let's eat. The doji looked at Julie and said seriously, can't you see the text next to it? No eating in the bus. Julie had to listen to her sister. And then she deliberately cracked the lid. Let the smell of pizza fly out. Julie's face was very provocative. Watch this cake. You smell this. I don't care at all. This is the pizza at the nuns. He was a famous man in that city. The doji sat still without moving. I didn't even want the cake once. She replied coldly. Even though it was heartfelt, I refused. And the nun in the back row. I only know how to cover my mouth with a smile, I thought in my heart. Opposite Nicola's famous taste. And she's still refusing even more. Really cute. A dispute between the two sisters. It made the air noisy. So the doji took the initiative to turn around and say sorry. 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 It bothers everyone. Julie's face was covered in shit. God, please rebuild yourself. I haven't even eaten yet. Smiling, he said, you didn't break the rules. It doesn't have to be. The nun giggled and said, you don't have to pay attention to us. That's it. Both of the sisters turned to look at the wind and Nicola. Both of them. All exude a very superior spirit. Thought in my heart. These two are so cute. There is a special spirit. Du Li was young, but also be aware of this anomaly. One of these two is beautiful. One is cute. Even if they don't wear gold and silver on them. Like the word writer. You look educated. Then Julie stroked her chin, her eyes full of intrigue. She's planning for the two of us to try and befriend them. Maybe we can rely on something later. Riley quickly leaned her arms against the chair. Say hello to get acquainted. Just introduce yourself. Hi, you are Julie. And this is my sister Doji. The two of us went from Olives to Chang'an. I just completed the procedure for moving my residence today. Now is the school. This action of July makes the doji unpredictable. You idiot reminded me to wait. But he couldn't stop it, and Doji squinted in shame. Julie's bad aesthetic has resurfaced. Start making friends again. Go up there. Julie innocently asked you again why. I think you two are very compatible. It's a team, isn't it? Nicola snapped. It can be considered that. Then you think in your heart. They are new immigrants. Now the people here are all out of work. Don't know how people's lives are moving. Save the welcome, introduce yourself. My name is Little Feng, and this is your girlfriend, Nini. We're all officers of the city of Annie. The woman dressed in SA was surprised to ask for advice, but then again, they hide their identities to talk to them. What are you looking for? After hearing that you are both officers. Julie is excited not to squeeze. Her eyes glowed and her hands joined together. I'm talking about the officials. The doji was also astonished. You are so good at talking. Ask the next question. You said earlier that you were new residents. Both of you want to investigate the situation. The lives of the newly arrived. So we can talk more clearly. This is not the time when the bus alarm goes off. Next station next to the new city road. Anyone who comes from the comfort zone can get off. Julie replied, of course. We're at the station. If you have nothing to do, can we talk at your house? Doji dreaded stone eyes remind Julie. Then the four of us went to the high rise of the comfort zone. Julie and the doji invited him and Nicola into the house for a drink. Chat doji jubilation talk. You two sit down. My sisters, go pour some water. Then she dragged Julie into the kitchen and scolded her for a fight. What are you doing? It's okay to have a social conversation. They even bring people home. If people are bad people, why? July smiled and clicked her tongue. This is not olive water. It's such a good security school. Look at their style. It's definitely not an ordinary officer. People like that have to find opportunities to make friends. Leave a good impression. have trouble later. Maybe they can help. Doji is not very pleasant though, but also somewhat more secure. You got it. Doji takes the cold water vase outside. Then a smile, face of apprehension. Then the nun asked, "What's wrong?" Doji said, "I forgot to ask you for a drink. Hot or cold water? If it's hot water, wait a minute." Liu Feng smiled and said, "You don't need cold water." Nicola covered her mouth in a loud and small whisper. "Young master," they kept looking up at me. "Are they questioning our identity?" Liu Feng calmly replied, "It's not that bad. They must have wanted to be friends for the first time." Doji went to the kitchen and took out 2 cups. "Then pour water on the wind and Nicola." She said casually, "Sorry, we just moved in and there's nothing to drink." The reception was not very thoughtful. Nicola grinned wryly and said it wasn't. Then the doji asks the main question. "I don't know what you want to find out. Let us start the conversation with housing. Is this house enough? Can you afford the rent?" July quickly reply, "This house, 1 bedroom, 1 living room. Not big, but enough to stay. This is a welfare home. It's cheap." Sei Feng asked next, "So what's in the welfare home? Do you think it's too simple?" Listen, July, hands on the table, stand up in amazement, and ask again. "You're not kidding." July was a little agitated, and the doji pulled her hand and said, "Nothing to hide from you too. We used to be farmers. There's not enough food to wear in the olive country. Let's not talk about household items like this. These living things are probably simple compared to everyone else, but it's been good for us. July is the same season, and it's true. If you want to improve your living conditions, you can buy in the market downstairs. I heard that's the market that Liu Feng built. Super tasty cheap tonic." Nicola turned to look at the wind and asked with a smile, "Don't worry about this." His face is also somewhat satisfied. I said, "Well." The 2 sisters doji each other. I looked at the wind and Nicola. July panicked. "Oh my God, are they shining?" The doji also pressed his hands to his cheeks. Too bright. Julie's eyes turned cold. "Tell the truth. I see that the Han dynasty also has many inconveniences." Hear that? Both Nicola's faces became serious. Listen carefully to Julie's next sentence. July reported on that day. "When you and your sister visit, the first to see the boat was terrified." July said aloud, "This is a monster. I don't want to go up there." The yacht hostess smiled and explained, "This is not a monster. This is the ship that It's the only means of transportation. It's only in King Han. It can be delivered quickly. Now it's only 2 or more. Please, and the time you were admitted to the hospital. I've never enjoyed anything so delicious." Julie ate a lot. July lay in her hospital bed crying and crying. "Give me 1 more bite, I can still eat." The doctor took a note of the report and shook his head. "How delicious is the food. Don't eat too much either." The doji standing on one side also anxiously said, "Did you hear that? The doctor said no more food." Once she was walking down the street when she got stuck in the toilet. "But I can't find a place around forever." July winced and moaned as she walked away. "There is no toilet on this street. Every road is clean. Where can I solve this?" The young man heard her and showed her the way. "Public toilets over there." Haji is a newcomer who does not know how to keep clean. After telling a story, the inconvenient problems that we've experienced, July concludes a sentence. "I didn't adapt to life here at first. So many things I'm not familiar with. But we gradually merged to discover that this is a wonderful life worth living. She smiled and said proudly, not only that. The Han dynasty also had a wise king. Always give directions to everyone. There is a very bright future. It was the right thing for us to leave here. Listening to that, Save Feng grinned slightly with a pleasant face. Come on. Everyone is happy. But don't deify your majesty like that. I understand the situation roughly. There's one last thing. Do you have any plans for the future? Doji fun warmth sharing. The cultivation of ori water, we are very good. The immigration formalities officer said that. The school is recruiting farmers. I'm going to register and keep growing. July quickly added. She said her salary. That's enough for their lives. I already want to. Take me to school. I have this intention too. Nicola asked to go to school. Tomorrow, it's sciences final enrollment. This fall, have you registered? July panicked and asked why. Tomorrow is the last day. How fast is it? The wind looked up at the clock. Hang up the wall and shut up. It's 5:00. 12 people brought in the new files. Go and register. And catch the bus to school should still be in time. Nicola's right. Tomorrow is the last day and there will be a lot of people. You'd better go now, two sisters. Doji answered together. Okay. The sun is about to set, the sky is rosy. Nicola stood up and said goodbye. Then we won't bother you too. Goodbye. The two Doji sisters waved to July, laughing and saying, Thank you very much. Next time, come back to my chair. Doji also said next time. On the way home, and Nicola was very happy and reassured. Nicola said orphans like the two sisters of Doji. They live where we lack. I'm so happy to be back later. Their lives will get better and better. And so is everyone. We have to keep trying. Nicola casually asked what she had just asked. Wait a minute, young man. You hide your identity to talk to them like that. Does it count as cheating? Smiling, I'm sure not. The school seems to have a picture of me. They will soon discover my true identity. After a while. Tell Mina about her accidental encounter and Doji. Save wind up a sentence. That's how we got to know each other. She must know my identity by now. I don't know how they will react. Mina laughed and replied, she must be amazed. Van and Mina. Through the main building of the Ministry of Agriculture, I saw people huddled at the doji to ask Han. Mina pointed to the wind and said, It's done. She's surrounded by your fans. Liu Feng laughed and said with tears, When is she coming back? Let me ask her. To hold the pressure. A few days later, at Doji's house in the newcomer's ward. There's a door called Doji. You've got this. Doji hurried to say here she opened the door out. The mailman handed her a letter. And affectionately said, she handed it over and said thank you. The young man with a smiling face added, Looks like an invitation from the Ministry of Agriculture. What's the good news? Said Doji with a smile. It's probably the result of the economic category survey. The crops I gave up before. Let me see. The Doji whirled hurriedly peeled off the letter Ra read. The content in it says, Hello Doji. Congratulations. She was recruited to the pilot list of the category. Hoa tea cultivation. Please be invited. She went to the living room of the Chang'an City Council. To meet His Majesty, Wednesday afternoon this week. The two Doji eyes lit up and laughed endlessly. The courier screamed aloud in a panic. SAO engine to the King's Council of Chang'an to meet His Majesty. The next day, The doji was present at the Chang'an Royal Council. He stood in front of the gate for a long time, body trembling, dare not to take another step. Doji 2 rows of tears forever sagging. Negative thoughts keep popping up in your head. Doji hesitated, CA. The evening is finally here. Whether it's a feather or an emperor. I can't miss any part of my life. But this place, it's a place where a normal person like me can come later. Should I come and apologize to your majesty about last time, or do I have to do it now? Just come in or wait here. Suddenly, Mina called out to the doji. Make the doji startle, turn left, turn right. See who just called me. Mina waved her hand and approached the doji. You speak loud over here. Mina smiled. Orji, welcome doji. Orji nin, she came. Master Doji has been waiting for you for a long time, don't worry. Follow me, honestly ask for less. Young master is little Feng. I'm sorry, your majesty. Mina said yes. Then Mina led the doji inside the kingdom. The two of you are talking, Mina said. But the doji kept addressing her majesty. Just like I used to be. He doesn't care. It is very normal in the royal city. Let's say this is the Department of Agriculture, is also answered by D. That's not possible. That's the emperor of the Han dynasty. It's like the Ministry of Agriculture. Mina continued to let the doji mood be comfortable. That is true, but your name is your majesty. But you can't be the little leopard you used to be. Or Sao. The doji's expression became anxious, and he said, this. Mina's question awakened the doji. Then she put her hand on her chest to stabilize her spirit. Close your eyes and continue. I know that, but it's worth paying attention to. It's not a person's identity. It's him. Mina is right. Mina smiled and said, the young master will surely be happy to hear you say that. The capital replied. After a conversation, then you two came to the door of His Majesty's room. Mina's face was thoughtful. So what's the point of calling me today? About the farming economy. Or T. That's why the Ministry of Agriculture can't solve Sao. Before entering Liu Feng's room, Mina added, there is something else I want to ask you. It's Mina pushing the door slightly. Liu Feng stood tall, with a smile of welcome doji. He quickly asked for a doji. Hope, you can be an agricultural ambassador. Han Dynasty, to help us write an agricultural encyclopedia and expand access to the regions, on the theory and knowledge of tree farming. No one is better suited than you. It took 5 seconds for the doji to stand. You panicked. Her eyes became worried. Turn the lights on and refuse immediately. Ambassador promotion. I can't do it. After a period of calm, doji sits on a chair drinking a cup of tea. Nicola sat down next to her. Have you calmed down a little? Doji replied with a shy smile. Sorry, I was a little overreacting earlier. Uncle Feng also smiled and said, sorry, I'm in a hurry. I didn't think you were that surprised. Doji just blew a cup of tea to reduce the heat and said, but suddenly, you're telling me that I need to know how to write a book, and then you're an ambassador for all sorts of things. I've never heard of these before. I said, take a sip of the tea you brewed for an hour. Your senses are awakened. Lost city and a new space. She looked at the tea jelly with wistful eyes. And then I praise. This tea smells good. It has a very special sweet taste. Compared to regular green tea, this taste is more like. Give more sugar. I've never had this delicious tea before. Nicola chuckled and praised. Really sensitive doji skin. But there's no sugar. Save the Wind explained more. This tea is called jasmine tea. It's one that's made up of 2 crops. The tree I asked you to plant. Picking fresh jasmine flowers, then marinate with green tea. It will bring out the natural sweetness of flowers. It's very delicious, doji. It's very admiring. No, the sugar is already so sweet. Let me plant this. This is for the king's use. I heard that, and hurriedly continued, not quite like that. We want to promote them, so that people can drink this tea. The profits from tea trees and jasmine flowers are very high, but farming techniques are also difficult. So we need to find the right arable land and farmers. The doji's face became nervous. She asked sadly, but the soil level is like planting colored flowers. What do our people eat? Save the Wind, explain our goal. If the soil is suitable for any type of tree, it will be planted, so that people can get income from growing crops, and then buy back food from the farmer's hand. Sustain the development of the country's agricultural sector. The capital admires the miraculous response. I never thought about it. Fong continued, that's right. Things that couldn't be done before. There is now a railway system. It can be done easily. Like being a farmer. They have changed their work habits. If there is no food in hand, you will feel insecure. Right, Doji nodded in agreement. That's right. Welcome to the doji, he continued. So we hope you doji here. I will use it as a farmer. I know the best about land. Help us promote this category to the basic plan of the Han dynasty. Do you want to do this? Doji hesitated to think. She remembered her sister Julie going to school at home. Then she told the wind. I know, the wind is thinking. For the warm and happy life of the people. I trust the wind. I'll help everyone. The two happily shook hands. Smiling, that's good. He clapped his hands to celebrate this partnership and spoke boldly. So what are you waiting for? Now we quickly begin to foster. Just training knowledge. Doji. We have to understand the properties of every plant first. Doji, obey. Reminded by Nicola. And the propaganda flow. With the basic work to be done. Don't worry, we'll help you from start to finish. Then the old lady asked him carefully for instructions. Smiling, of course. The garden has been approved for you. All the tools and processes of selecting live seeds. Everyone will have someone to guide them. Nicola held the notebook and pen in her hands and said excitedly. So please, do pass on the secrets of farming to us. We're going to write it down in a book. Of course, there will be a reward. The doji's face was a little confused right now. She said with her mouth open, Save me, save me. Why do I feel? It's like entering the fire ant's cave. 1 month later, monthly meeting takes place. Lucy opened the meeting. More than a month of effort. Finally released the book. Teach people about every problem in life. It's called the Handbook of Everyday Life. It's finally been published and printed out. Now hold a meeting before releasing the book. Everyone has their own opinions. Let's make our people happier. Akazena and Nicola are busy. I can't attend this meeting. But they've compiled their opinions and submitted them to me. They are very happy with this book. Mina Fu Chin, mused face, expressed opinion. I saw this book. You can teach people a lot of things. But the word used is a bit theoretical. For example, the shock waves that explosive objects cause. People certainly don't understand what is a shock wave. Lucy immediately took note of Mina's opinion. She nods. A serious expression says this opinion is important. I'll get word checkers and fix it in a minute. The others are SAO. Ibe, raise your hand. I find the cover very beautiful. Fortunately, there are illustration by Jenny. It makes the book more alive. Jenny smiled shyly and replied, no. It's mostly the content of a good book. Lucy looked at the wind and asked the young master what he saw. Put your hands on your chin. Looking wistful. And frankly blame you for doing quite 7 hopes. Our girls are all stunned and horrified. I am confused by this statement of the Lord. Lord Lucy, asked the young master. What did you say? Mina retorted to the young master while he was in the office. You obviously praised the book's content and paintings. But why now? Take the book and turn it over. Your face said seriously. The book is as thick as a brick. I know that. You want to publish this book quickly. But you only see the look of the book. Do you remember everything? Mina laughed and he said, I remember a little bit. Ibe grinned and replied, I remember Ka pretty well. But that, people don't have the habit of reading like you do. Jenny with round eyes replied, I only do what I find interesting. Lucy grinned awkwardly and asked what to do now. Air circulation analysis. This book is for you to own. I don't interfere anymore, but I think the book is too thick. It can be divided in 2 parts. Lucy said happily. That's right, split up. Can separate knowledge according to different topics. For example, the subject of everyday life. Topic of therapeutic emergencies. The topic of crop cultivation. The theme of building houses and so on. Ibe also agrees with this idea. You can say that. It's not just for reading. It can be fast. Find things I like to read. Jenny said. You can also spread it in the newspapers. According to each topic. After being saved to suggest a solution. Then our girls. I found the right way. Quickly, this makes the exile extremely satisfied. I thought to myself, no name is the essence of Han. Reflexology is very fast. Over here, the city's spinning around and writing. She fell on the desk. Your mouth has finished writing the report. It looks like it's falling out. In the comfort zone. A place for newcomers. She screamed loudly to vent. All the sorrow of the wind.